Welcome to Prepare to Care, an AARP caregiving podcast designed to allow you to have free resources, free tools to assist you and your family during your caregiving needs. I'm Eddie Orem, I'm your host today. Thank you for joining. Hurricane season runs through June 1st through November the 30th. If you remember, though, last year we had our first hurricane in May. Joining us today to talk about our hurricane preparedness is Ekland Durousseau. Ekland is with the American Red Cross Texas Gulf Coast region. Welcome, Ekland.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Well, thank you. We have heard about your background and know what you guys do. So tell our audience exactly how do we begin and why should we start now preparing for the hurricane season?
Well, now is the perfect time to start. It's a great time to check those supplies, the existing supplies that you have, see if anything has expired, or if you're missing something. It's also more cost effective to start early. If you're starting from scratch, then this is a great way. You can buy a few things every time you go to the store, and it's a great way to ease the impact on your pocketbook. Now, you may already have many of the items on the emergency kit list, um, but they're probably in different places around your house, right? So just to begin looking at that list and just walk around your house and see what you already have. I'm sure you've got a flashlight maybe stored under your sink, maybe some batteries or in a drawer somewhere. Check the dates on those and just kind of consolidate everything in one place. You can see exactly what you have and exactly what you need, and then you can supplement that each week when you go to the grocery store. You may also want to make sure that you have something like a stay at home kit if you have to shelter in place, or a go kit if you have to evacuate. And the things that you put in those kits are probably going to be exactly the same thing, or they will be exactly the same thing. It's just a smaller amount maybe for your car than you would have for stay at home. And what I like to do for my go kit is I put everything in an ice chest, a rolling ice chest that makes it easy to get to and from my house, in and out of the car. Plus, it has a great dual purpose. And if you prepare early, it really gives you a great peace of mind and kind of reduces that anxiety that I'm not sure about anyone else, but I've lived in the Texas Gulf Coast for a long time and I've got a little weather anxiety. So this is something we experience every year. There's no reason to not be prepared and to make sure that we have those items that we need that can help see us through uh, a little bit safer.
Eklund, thanks for sharing that. I will ask you later, how can we find the list that you're speaking about? But right
Okay.
now, let me ask you, what kind of documentation should we save? And what kind of documentation should we take with us in the event that we must leave our home?
Well, I think that some of the things that you want to make sure that you have are your insurance documents, any kind of medication, medications that you may need to have refilled, a contact card with the phone numbers of your friends and family members or a caregiver, your doctor, a home medical equipment support lines. These are things that, we all store in our phones, right? But what if your phone dies? You still need to have those phone numbers. So make sure that you write those down on a contact card, or maybe, you maybe someone else needs to make those phone calls for you, and it's really easy to pass them that piece of paper or take a picture of it and send it to them so that they can make those calls for you. So it's important to have things like that. And I would also recommend that you store that paperwork in something that's waterproof. So you can just get yourself like a Ziploc bag, make sure it's really sealed tight, so that in case it's raining or if you go through some water, those documents will stay dry and legible.
Well, thank you, Eklund. And let me ask as well, many of us are caregivers. We are caring for perhaps older individuals. Is there anything specific we need to be aware of when we're taking care of someone, and how do we keep them safe?
Well, what it really comes down to is having a plan in place. What do you need to evacuate? What do you need to shelter in place? If this person has a medication schedule, is all of that written down so that everyone can see it? Do you have special medical equipment? Is it mobile? Do you have a plan in place if it isn't? And again, I go back to writing down that contact information of your doctors and any kind of medical equipment support lines. Those are things that are important to have written down. Um, but also in the state of Texas, we have something called STEER, and that's State of Texas Emergency Assistance Registry. And what this allows you to do is register. It's a free program, first of all, with the state of Texas, and it allows people with access and functional needs to register so that local emergency planners and emergency responders have information that maybe you may need additional help and support, or that there are people in the area who may need additional help and support, and that helps them plan how they're going to respond during a disaster. Now, this doesn't mean that, or it doesn't guarantee that you'll receive specific service during an emergency, but it lets them know that you're in the area and that you do have specific needs so that they can plan for that.
Well, thank you. You've actually helped me with my plan. We have a family plan. It's written. We have coordinators, two of our younger family members who are actually to begin the call-in system, with everybody having who they will contact, where we're going to be, what we're going to take. But what we're missing is that medical plan that you mentioned. So we actually make sure that we also take the medical items that we need. And we had not thought about mobile items that we need to also take.
Yeah.
Really enjoy your idea with the ice chest, which protects your items and also gives you, I guess, some type of way of holding and containing ice if you need that once you're relocated. So
Absolutely.
we really appreciate your ideas here.
Thank you,
Um, you're welcome, Ekland. Now tell us,
Trey.
is there, I'm sorry,
Have a
go ahead.
call tree.
You have a call?
That you have a call tree.
Yes, we do. And each person actually knows who they're to call. And then they will check back in with our younger members. It's a training process for them. It provides them leadership for the family. And in living, as you said, in our area, in Houston and the Gulf Coast area, that's something we need to go through, even if it's not a bad hurricane.
Right.
Um, but now, what do we need to think about if we're talking about moving to a different location? Um, is there a certain place in our area that we should go to, or certain program we should tune into to know where to go? We have our highway systems that generally will tell us which way to go. How do we find that information?
Well, there are several different places that you can go. The main thing that you want to know, again, this comes back to having your plan, right? You have your plan, so within that plan, um, you should have a place specifically to go to get out of a potential hurricane impact zone. And you should also know how to get there, right? So you can check. I believe the Houston Galveston Council has a bunch of different maps that you can access that have your evacuation zip zones. And what this is that you can look and see where your zip code is, and it'll tell you the best route to get out of your area away from potential danger that could be coming from the coast. So these are routes that have been mapped out, and I think honestly, you could just Google evacuation zip zone, and they have them right there. There are a bunch of different resources. Almost everyone has a map that shows you the best routes that are available to you in your area to make sure that you get out safely and in a timely manner. And again, you mentioned a couple of things that I highly recommend. Talking to your friends and family, and let them know the route that you're going to be taking in case something happens along the way. Your car could break down. I believe it was several years ago during one of the hurricanes, where a lot of people were stranded on the road. They ran out of gas because so many people were trying to get out. and it took them hours and hours and hours to get where they were going. Well, during that time, your phone could die or you could run out of gas, just like most of those people did. And making sure that there's someone who knows the route that you were on, who can check up on you or let first responders know where you might be or the route that you were taking, will really help in and helping you to get where you need to go. And again, put an emergency, you have your emergency supply go bag in the car. You'll have some snacks in there that can help you while you're on the route to your safe location.
Well, Ekland, you've been excellent with giving us our plan, what we should begin taking care of and collecting now. Flashlights, batteries, making sure our phone is ready. You just mentioned making sure that our vehicles are also ready with enough gas to go where we need to go. Now, one other question, Ekland. What if we have a family member who says, "Oh, I think I'll just stay here. It won't be a bad hurricane." What do you
Mm.
suggest?
Well, I mean, your family members best. You know the best way to have that conversation. Um, the best thing that you can hope for is that they will listen when those emergency managers tell people that it's time to leave, um, or even just take that precaution. Sometimes we are threatened by lots of things in the Gulf. They don't always hit us, but it's always good to take the precaution just in case, because you never know. We have some very weird weather here in the Texas Gulf Coast, and it doesn't take a hurricane to flood anything. It can just take a rain system sitting on top of us for days at a time,
Right.
with sustained rains that can really negatively impact our quality of life and how we get around. So I highly recommend that you recommend to them to listen to those people who do this for a living. Uh, to leave when they say leave, and if you think it might be bad, maybe it's just time to take a little road trip to visit friends and family in another location. I know a lot of us are feeling a little antsy because of the pandemic, and it's nice to get out for a little bit anyway.
Well, Eklund, you said something very important. You mentioned to us that we know those family members. So we know now that we need to begin having those difficult, if not courageous, conversations. So we don't wait until that time to begin those conversations. One of the things we like to do with our ARP members is to ask them to make sure that we prepare early. We prepare such that when something happens, we know what to do. You've been extremely helpful with giving us our list, uh, telling us how we can prepare for the elderly, making sure that we have all their medications together. And it's not just the elderly, we might have young siblings or young care recipients who also have special needs. And even with ourselves, we take medication that we need to make sure we pack. So having that hurricane plan, thinking ahead, listening to people like Eklund who know the system, know the storms much better than we probably do. So Eklund, have we missed anything? Before I end, is there anything that you want to say to us?
Well, I'll say this. I'll sum it up with the majority of the things that we've talked about. We touched on several different times, but it doesn't hurt to repeat it. Make a plan, build a kit, stay informed. Those are the three pillars of the Red Cross preparedness, and these are really great things to help you make sure that you feel safe, you and your family feel safe and comfortable during an emergency.
Thank you, Eklund. We really appreciate your time. We appreciate the information that you've given to us. And we say to our
So,
audience, I'm sorry, Eklund. Go ahead. I think I interrupted you.
oh, uh, you can always visit redcross.org. We have an extensive webpage built out on many different types of disasters.
Well, thank you. This has been extremely helpful to me, and I know to our audience. And we ask that we look at redcross.org for additional information. That's redcross.org. And we also say to our audience here, thank you for joining us. Be well. We encourage you to follow the Prepare to Care podcast on iTunes, SoundClouds, or at www.aarp.org/HoustonPTC. We also encourage you to listen to our podcast on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/C/AARP Texas. Thank you for listening. And as always, thank you for caring.